Well, good evening, everyone, and as always, once again, thank you all for joining me. Again, I am your host. We are following breaking news out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and throughout the country, where we do know once again that mass protests are taking place in regards to the unfortunate slaying of the late George Floyd. As many of you may know, this week was unfortunately lost his life due to the hands of a Minneapolis, Minnesota police officer. Once again, guys, where we know that mass protests are now taking place, including riots throughout the country, especially throughout the streets of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and both St. Paul, where numerous businesses throughout the city there have been looted and set on fire, including vehicles once again. Well, we are now following a host of breaking news where protesters are confronting law enforcement personnel as we speak, and as well as we now know that a Minneapolis Police Precinct is currently on fire as we speak, guys. We are currently watching it as we speak. Multiple windows are busted out of the station. There is a large amount of fire at the front entrance of the police station at this time. But again, we are continuing to monitor the situation via the media, both YouTube, social media, and of course, if you hear the radio app in the background, we are doing our very best to listen in at the same time as this continues to unfold, guys. Where we know that the Minnesota governor is activated the National Guard to come in to try to restore peace throughout the city there right now as we speak, guys. But we are currently awaiting the arrival of the National Guard. We do know as well from what sources are stating that the U.S. Marine Corps is currently on standby, as well as things are continuing to escalate. It's getting much more severe than what it was earlier, or should I say yesterday, guys, where violence is erupting throughout the country, including Denver, Colorado, where we've seen one individual who actually hopped on the hood of someone's car in an attempt to block traffic, and this car actually ran over this individual. But of course, it's these kind of people right here with the phony outrage, guys. And I know some of you who are watching are going to get upset with me by saying that, because it's without any shadow of a doubt, that a lot of these people, they're just there acting based off of phony outrage. And yes, let me calm myself. I said it. Phony outrage, okay? And the reason why I say that is because you hear it all the freaking time. Where is the outrage about the black-on-black crime throughout the country? Anybody ever bother to think that or ask yourself that very same question? It seems that everybody's only outraged whenever it comes to very unfortunate incidents like this. And as I have stated before, it's a very, very unfortunate incident with what happened to George Floyd, guys. And again, my heart, my thoughts and prayers go out to his family. I do not, and I will go on for the record for the final time to say, I do not condone what the officer did to George Floyd. Yeah, what George Floyd may have done was wrong, but by sitting there by jamming your knee into his neck, an individual's neck, for 10 whole minutes while he lay there and plead for his life, it's absolutely unexcusable. When, for one, the man was already in custody. But moving on, guys, as we are continuing to monitor this thing via social media, via cable news networks, or whatever the case may be. And of course, again, if you hear the scanner in the background, we are listening in as multiple businesses are continuing to be looted and set on fire, as well as multiple automobiles. We've seen actual footage in real time of automobiles being stolen, as well as businesses being looted in real time, guys. I mean, this is no joke, and it's really unfortunate given the whole COVID-19 crisis right now, and so many anxious to get back to work. But by the time this is all over with, as I have stated before, there's going to be so many, after this is all said and done and the smoke clears, going to be crying because they got nowhere to go. They are literally destroying Minneapolis, Minnesota right before our very eyes, guys. Literally. Yes, of course, you're going to hear the excuses from some, these businesses can be replaced, but a life can't. And yes, that may be true. But guess what? Have you ever asked yourself something? What does it accomplish? That's why I say phony outrage. As I've said, where's the outrage for all the black-on-black crime in the communities? The black upon minority crime throughout the communities. Where's the outrage? It's funny that you only hear about it whenever a police officer ends up taking out another black man or a minority. Not that I necessarily condone most of the actions of the police officers, because sometimes it's not always what you see or you hear until either the footage is released or there's an investigation into the process. But at the same damn time, too, I'm sick and tired of hearing that, oh, we never do anything wrong nonsense. We're the victims or whatever. Can you just imagine that? A Democrat-run city is literally being run to the ground right now because of phony outrage. Yes, you better believe I said it. I can understand there are those out there who are very upset about this, who are truly upset about this right now, and want nothing more than to let their voices be heard. And I'm all for that. And we've seen footage of peaceful protesters taking to the streets who just want their voices to be heard. Then it's unfortunate we've seen those, again, with the phony outrage, who are taking to the streets, cursing police officers out, calling them all kinds of names and telling them how scared they are. But the moment police officers charge at them, what do? They run. Nothing but a bunch of hypocrites. Every last one of them. Again, guys, it's really unfortunate, but of course, again, this is breaking news where we now know that a police precinct there in Minneapolis, Minnesota is completely ablaze right now. As officers are working effortlessly, as well as our first responders and firemen, to try to contain the fires and contain the crowds, as many take to the streets there late tonight. And again, my thoughts and prayers are with my loved ones as well, who are there, who actually live in Minnesota, who are first-hand witnesses to, again, the phony outrage and the protest and the looting and the rioting and the arsonists. Some of them really don't even know why they're there. They're there just to take advantage of the moment. You think stealing boxes of shoes and phones and whatever you could get your hands on is going to solve anything? How can you sit there and say that what police officers do is wrong when you're doing the same exact thing? As I've stated, two wrongs do not make no right. What that officer did to George Floyd was wrong, as the others just stood there and watched. But what you're doing now is just as wrong. And I don't care what none of you don't like. I don't give a damn what party you vote for either to this point. But I will say this. It needs to stop. This is not who we are supposed to be. I don't know, again, as I've said, what was George Floyd's intent when he attempted to cash that bogus check. But did it warrant him to lose his life? Again, absolutely not. But of course, we can only just let justice take its course, as we know that the FBI is currently investigating this and trying to figure out what are they going to charge the officer with, or the other three who were involved in this as well, as they just stood there and watched. As another man lay there and begged for his life and plead for his life. It's just not fair. It's really sad and very unfortunate that Floyd had to lose his life like that. But it's really unfortunate when you see all the phony outrage, as I've said. It's too bad you don't see this in the streets when it comes to all the black on black crime. You have groups like Black Lives Matter. What's the use of the name when black lives clearly don't matter to their own? I know some of you are going to probably come after me hard and go, well, you're not black, so who the hell are you to say anything? You know something, you're right. But that is my constitutional right, just as much as it is yours, to say something about it, to speak out against it or speak for it. We got so many now on the far left that just want to shred our freaking Constitution to pieces. The Democrat Party. The same party who founded and funded the KKK. The same party who stands for late-term abortion. The same party who supports a woman that founded Planned Parenthood to kill black babies. And of course you got yours truly, Hillary Clinton, who even admired Margaret Sanger for her tenacity and her vision. But those of you who are just brainwashed, you know what your problem is? You're still stuck in the plantation like you are now. You're also convinced that you're the victims. And can't nothing change that. In reality, that's not the case. We all have choices in life. And when you're out here doing the shit you're doing now, and excuse my French, what do you expect people to think about you? When you're out here accusing police officers of doing one thing while you're out here doing another, what do you expect people to think? I'm sick of it, man. Something's got to give. Something has got to give. It's not right. It just isn't. And I'm not saying what happened to George Floyd was right either. We just have to let justice take its course. As I've said, I do believe the officer responsible for George Floyd's death is going to be brought up on charges. But that's just not good enough for you all. You would rather be out here looting and vandalizing and stealing and causing trouble and mayhem. It really is very unfortunate. And again, my thoughts and prayers are with George Floyd's family and many of our first responders as well, who are working effortlessly throughout the country tonight. Whether it's Los Angeles, whether it's here, especially in Minneapolis, Minnesota tonight. Denver, Colorado, you name it. Towards the U-Haul on University Avenue. Just can't make this stuff up, guys. You really can't. Given this time, where we are in a very important year right now, as we are just months away to November 3rd, 2020, where America will once again go to the polls. Will we see phony outrage again once President Trump is elected for another 4 more years? I don't know. There's basically pretty much nothing left of Minneapolis, Minnesota, or St. Paul right now, as everything is literally being destroyed. But again, guys, with that being said, if we happen to have any more breaking news, once again, I will do my very best to bring that to you guys. But as always, please be sure to say a prayer for our first responders, including George Floyd's family. Be sure to leave a like. Be sure to subscribe, and be sure as well to comment below. Give me your thoughts on, again, how you feel about the entire situation, guys. That being said, got nothing more to say about this right now. Again, I'm your host, Chi-Town Zone, for Thursday, May the 28th, 2020. Again, with that being said, everyone, God bless. God bless to our first responders. Everyone have a good night.